Welcome to Hitman Boxing. Hit that like and subscribe button. So check this out. I'm thinking about doing this weekly series. Toward the end of the week, I'll pick a fighter or a trainer or a promoter, and, depending upon how they move that certain week, what sort of statements they make to the public, depending upon how silly or ridiculous their claims are, or if they get exposed in a fight, then I'm going to go in on them. It'll be a series called L of the Day, and I might just do a poll where I'll put like a few people in there who've made some outlandish statements for the week or got their ass beat when they, were talking shit about a particular fighter and they got in the ring with them and they got washed. I'm going to go in on them. Let me know what you guys think of that series. It's going to be called L of the Day. Let me know. But let's get into this video. Errol Spence recently made some statements in which he mentioned he dislikes Keith Thurman more than Shawn Porter. Let's get into Errol Spence's statement. I think he kind of making stuff up. I don't know where he got that from. I hate his guts and things like that. I mean, I dislike Keith Thurman more than I dislike Shawn Porter. I really don't, care anything about Shawn Porter or what he has going on or anything like that. So I don't know where he got that from, that I'm jealous of him. When I fought on pay-per-view, he hasn't even fought on pay-per-view yet. So, I mean, I don't know. He's been a guy I've been wanting to fight for a long time. Even when I was fortunate, I wanted to fight him. And plus, I just think he's corny overall. He's just a corny individual. Keith still don't mention my name, really. He keeps saying that we're going to fight in late 2020. Errol Spence statement. So he was going in on Shawn Porter. He was going in on Keith Thurman. Let's talk about the Shawn Porter aspect of this first. Shawn Porter has mentioned that Errol Spence is jealous of him, that he's envious of him because he got that whole Fox deal where he's a commentator and he kind of analyzes fights and fighters and stuff. But, Errol Spence couldn't be any more interested in that bullshit because, well, I mean, Errol Spence has fought on pay-per-view. Errol Spence is a bigger name than Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter is not a draw, all right? Shawn Porter, he's a good guy. I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's a good guy, but he wears Reeboks, okay? He wears Reeboks on national TV with a blazer on. And he wasn't even wearing Reebok Classics. He was wearing some boxy johns, okay? So really, you might be upset that I'm making fun of how he dresses and how this has nothing to do with boxing, but it has everything to do with boxing. When you have a drink and you have a straw in your drink, he's the type of person that can't drink out of the straw because his teeth are too big. So Shawn Porter needs to sit his ass down. Shawn Porter knows he's going to get his ass beat by Errol Spence. I think he's in it for the payday. The majority of these guys in the welterweight division didn't want any smoke with Errol Spence, but now, he's become the popular fighter at 147. Again, he's fought on pay-per-view. He's doing better numbers than these guys. He's making more money than these guys. So he's, in a sense, the guy that they need to fight. Now fighting him brings about a certain amount of money. So Shawn Porter, of course, wants to jump on that so he can buy some more colorful zoot suits for him and his father. And maybe buy a bigger toothbrush because his teeth just continue to get so fucking big he can't close his mouth. So Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter. I'm looking forward to it. I think Shawn Porter is a good fighter. I think it should be an interesting fight for however long it lasts. A lot of people feel like he's not going to stop Shawn Porter because of what happened with Mikey Garcia, but you got to understand what happened with Mikey Garcia. He chose to display his boxing ability. Mikey Garcia is known as an impeccable boxer, right? Well, he outboxed this guy regardless of his weight. So, and in fact, I never wanted that fight to take place anyway. I was never keen on Errol Spence fighting Mikey Garcia. I thought it was a dumb fight. So, anytime I bring up, Errol Spence's resume, which isn't the best, let's be honest. He's got Kell Brook and he's got Mikey Garcia. Kell Brook once was a good fighter. He was a great fighter at one point, but he made a lot of mistakes in his career. First mistake was fighting Triple G. Should have just fought Spence. Mikey Garcia, great fighter in his weight class, decided to move up, and, he got outboxed by Errol Spence. Thing is, it looks like he's looking to get another fight at 147 with Danny Garcia, but that's another story. But back to Errol Spence and Shawn Porter. Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter. I got Errol Spence winning the fight and taking his green belt. And, hopefully Shawn Porter doesn't lose too many teeth in that fight. Now, as far as Keith Thurman is concerned, Keith Thurman is a guy who's been running from Errol Spence his entire life. Ever since Errol Spence came on the scene, he didn't want any smoke. Shawn, Keith Thurman at one point used to talk a lot of shit. Keith Thurman used to be very vocal when he was fighting his crop of fighters, and then one day he decided, well, he really didn't want to fight Shawn Porter. He was forced into fighting Shawn Porter because he hadn't fought anybody. His biggest fight was Diego Chavez, and a fight he could have lost. He almost lost that fight, to be honest. He fought Shawn Porter, started faking injuries, and, Shawn Porter's father will corroborate this. He couldn't find any. The whole, car accident thing where he had the concussion or whatever he said happened, none of this ever happened. There was never any reports, never any police report, no medical examination, nothing. He couldn't produce any of these documents. So how do we know this even happened, Keefy Poo? How do we know this happened, Keith? Because it didn't. Fast forward, he gets an elbow injury. He has surgery, right? He shows the picture. Keith Thurman shows us a picture of his elbow with makeup on it. You say you got surgery, fine, whatever. I'll go along with it. But the thing is, I don't want to see you throwing out the first pitch to a baseball game with your injured arm. So it makes no sense. And then you take 2 years off, and then you disappear in a cave somewhere in Kuala Lumpur where they dig sewage ditches, and then we see you sparring in Nepal. Come on, fam. Keith Thurman is a fraud. What don't you understand about Keith Thurman? He's a fucking liar, okay? He's a liar. And now that he's fighting Manny Pacquiao, he want to talk tough. He want to run around here like he running shit, disrespecting Manny Pacquiao. But he wasn't disrespecting Shawn Porter, wasn't disrespecting Danny, and damn straight disrespecting Errol Spence. Talking about, when he came back, he said, I got my plan, but right now Errol Spence isn't in my immediate future. I'm thinking about fighting Spence in maybe 2020, into 2020, early 2021. Well, you got to beat Pacquiao first. If you don't beat Pacquiao, you're done and you need to retire, like you said you would. So when you get a chance to fight Errol Spence, hopefully it's next year, you can go ahead and just give him your belt. Just, wrap it up in some nice, I don't know what color wrapping paper you should use. Maybe green, since the belt's green, maybe green and red. Wrap it up for him. Hand it to him and say, here, I concede. I didn't want any smoke with you, and I apologize. The thing is, Keith Thurman should have been fought Errol Spence when Mayweather offered to allow Keith Thurman to fight on his undercard against Spence and let him fight for one of his belts. Then you could have potentially knocked him off early in his career, derailed his career, and then we wouldn't even be talking about Errol Spence right now. We'd be talking about Keith Thurman, right? That's just my thought process. Keith Thurman crying, faking injuries on TV where Errol Spence looking shook, looking scared, terrified, stuttering and shit. I don't buy Keith Thurman's act, man. It's all an act for him. He's not in it for the long run, and we'll see how things play out when he fights Manny Pacquiao. Now, as far as Errol Spence is concerned, the plan has always been to unify the division. I don't know where y'all get he's afraid of Terrence Crawford, where that shit comes from. It's a lot easier to negotiate with the PBC fighters than it is to negotiate with a top-ranked fighter. Terrence Crawford needs to reevaluate his career, because honestly, when his contract is up, he needs to go back to the drawing board and really think about who he wants to sign with, because Top Rank is doing him no favors in terms of promoting him, getting him the fights that he needs. To get those fights, you got to pay these guys. All right. I heard he lowballed a bunch of fighters at PBC, but you're probably saying, oh, well, Terrence Crawford's fought PBC fighters before. Yeah, the PBC fighters he fought were the bottom of the barrel ass dudes. That's why they went over there and fought on ESPN and HBO. All right. Again, the plan is Shawn Porter, take his belt, then fight the winner of Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, and then fight Terrence Crawford and unify. Spencer's doing all the legwork. Terrence Crawford fighting Amir Khan. Amir Khan quit in the ring. So come on. I hope Errol Spence doesn't try to make a fight with Canelo Alvarez. There's no point. Why are you going to go up and fight Canelo Alvarez when you have business in your own weight class? Again, I don't want to see him move up to fight Canelo. A lot of y'all thinking that he would dominate Canelo. Y'all need to be a little bit more realistic with that shit, okay? But anyway, you know, this article is interesting. Errol Spence, I dislike Keith Thurman more than Porter. You know, Shawn Porter's corny. You know, he's super corny with them Reeboks. Keith Thurman's corny too when his energy just switches up night and day. You know, Errol Spence come on the scene, quiet as a mouse. Before that, mad vocal. Now you coming back fighting Pacquiao, a fight that you think you can beat just because he's 40 years old. Now you want to run your mouth. But, you know, you got to beat Pacquiao. But I guarantee you if you go up against Spence, you're not going to have that same energy. He's going to be humble as hell. He's going to be talking about he's not, first of all, look, here's the thing. If Keith Thurman gets past Manny Pacquiao and they force him to fight Spence next, he's not going to blow up. He's not going to blow up between these fights. Trust me. He's going to train his ass off for that fight because he knows what time it is. Because, you know, that body, he's still weak to the body. Keith is still mad weak to the body. He's weak in general, but he's weak to the body, you know. But it's cool. We got a body bag with Keith Thurman's name on it. It's going to read Keith Once Upon a Time Thurman or Keith Keefy Poo Johnson, okay? Hitman Boxing, drop a comment, like the video, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about that L of the Week series I'm thinking about making. Drop a comment below. I'm out.